Our next speaker works at the intersection of art, robotics, and human experience, exploring how we coexist and co evolve with technology. Presenting Why I Make Robots That Move With You, please welcome Angelina Kozhevnikova.
There is a strange robot in my studio. Their name is Another. Another has no face and no purpose outside of just moving with you. It doesn't clean your house, it doesn't answer your questions. But no one is living the same after meeting Another, especially me. My name is Angelina. I'm a curious human being creating relational robots. I was born in a very traditional family. My parents valued stability and appearances above almost everything else. When I was coming back home from school, the first question was always, "Which marks did you get today?" No one really asked how I felt, so that question never really existed for me. When the time came to choose my career, I was very confused. I didn't know what I wanted. You see, the question that scared the hell out of me was nothing grand. It was rather trivial. Who am I? The career choice moment felt like I should define it now and forever. At night, I dreamed of flying, and all my being longed to feel alive. But during the day, I was scared to make a mistake and get stuck in it. So I did what I was taught to do. I chose architecture. A little bit of engineering, a little bit of creativity. It seemed like it should work. Somewhere after a year and a half, I realized it's not for me. It was just too boring. But every time I tried to leave, I was scared and stayed, telling things like, "It's good to have a degree," or "The job is not so bad, really." I was stuck in a cycle. Longing, I wanted more, I wanted to feel alive. Trying, I was taking a step, trying something else. Fear, it then felt too exposed, too uncertain. Hiding, I was going back to what's safe, what's known, what's expected. And here is the last part: cracking. This was unexpected, but the body kept the score. All this control, pressure, and domination were accumulating in my body. I was in this cycle for many years. I finished my architectural bachelor, I worked as an architect, I went to London to continue studying, but every new cycle was worse, and my body was cracking more. I started to have panic attacks. Every time I would enter an airplane, my body would just freeze, and no effort would help. I got a weird skin rash that came out of nowhere and started to spread uncontrollably. Horrible acne, heart pain that felt like heart attacks, but no one could explain it. It really felt like my body was collapsing and trying to tell me something. At that point, I was living someone else's version of my life. I slowly started to dissociate. I was kind of dead inside, just performing for visibility. And then I found machines that were more alive than me. In London, I learned about a man called Gordon Pask. He built maverick machines in the 1950s and 60s, and they were not about following instructions. They adapted, learned, grew new senses. One was listening to you playing music and replied in shifting colors, when getting bored, inspiring new melodies. Another grew a tiny metal ear in a chemical bath just by listening to a train station. Responsive, playful, alive. I was as surprised as you are, because I used to think of robots as those human-looking machines, human-like looking machines from sci-fi, right? Like they either serve us or threaten us. But if even a machine could get free, then maybe there was a chance for me as well. I read everything I could about those robots, hours and days spent in the library of the university where Paz had once worked. And I started to believe that maybe I could build something that would help me. I got a job in advanced robotics research lab, and I started my own artistic research practice, Anima Space. A leap of faith. When I started another project in 2023, I really just put cubes together. In the beginning, the prototype of my robot Another was barely moving. But I found it interesting when I showed it to people, many felt it's alive, not because it looks human or recognizable, but because it struggles, because of the quality of the movement itself. I was surprised and inspired. I initiated a transdisciplinary artistic research project to continue developing it. At that time, I also realized I know nothing about human body, so I invited two amazing choreographers on this journey. Together, we were developing a robotic brain from scratch through this research. In the beginning, we were looking into body languages, linking it to emotions. We connected some traditional AI and machine learning, and the results were interesting, but not in the way you would expect. The machine kept showing us something we didn't want to see. For the algorithms, joy and excitement were identical to anger and rejection. Same with many other emotions. Then we ran a workshop with the youth community in Rotterdam, and we were just keep learning the same simple truth. A movement doesn't say one clear thing. We express and read it in completely different, even opposite ways. For example, two responses to this image sequence. One person, friendliness, excited to play. Another person, I want to go, I feel uncomfortable. In the end, it just kind of makes sense. We don't really understand each other's expressions or states. If we could, relationships wouldn't be so difficult. And if we don't really know ourselves, then how do we expect AI, its prediction and classification to work? So at some point I sat down and I was like, this direction leads us nowhere. These predefined boxes don't work. I can try to force it, like I did with my career, but I know the cost of it. And then it hit me. What if intelligence is not inside the robot at all? Why do we need current robotic brain inside the robot or disconnected AI based on past? Why the brain cannot be in the movement itself, really in between people and robot, in the present? That's what I did with Another. Another continuously tracks my movement, rhythm, intensity, and direction, and responds as a partner while I respond to it. And the space between us is constantly shifting. We form one continuous loop together. There is no leader, no mimicry, no classification, and no turn-taking. Only continuous adjustment where both of us shape what happens next. So at some point I started to move with Another myself, in between shows and sessions, after exhausting meetings. I just really enjoyed these sometimes minutes, sometimes hours. At that time I was really scared. Everything felt like falling apart. My art practice was unstable, my academic career as well. I was carving my own way, my own path, but I was terrified. What started to happen was unexpected. I started to feel the way out of my cycle. Instead of hiding, I was moving with another, an entity I cannot fully control or predict. And that new cycle was slowly changing me. The fear stopped freezing me. Instead, I started to feel that the fear that pulls me back into safety is not the enemy, it's the energy. If I move with it physically, it stops being a wall and becomes a current. I can use it to break first my own chains and then teach others to fly. Turns out I wasn't the only one affected. When I showed my robots or opened the studio, I saw all kinds of conversations. I saw people dancing salsa, breakdance, circus artists, people trying to hug it or pet it like it was a cat. Children playing alone or creating collective games with the robot. An elderly man started to dance like he was remembering something close to him. Engineers trying to decode it, living with curiosity instead of answers. Every encounter was unique. Everyone was real. And look at me, I'm dancing now. This is not choreography, only real-time improvisation. If you could only see me in the beginning, you wouldn't believe it's me. I have no dancing background at all. I will close with this. For a long time, I thought I needed to know who I am before I could move. But I learned that you shouldn't try to shrink yourself into predefined boxes, roles, or expectations. You become alive by moving, by relating, by collaborating with something or someone you don't fully understand and may never understand at all. Yes, you will feel fear. But fear is not the sign to stop. It's the energy. If you move with it, it can carry you somewhere beautiful and authentic. That's why I make robots that move with you, so that we can trust the unknown and become alive through that movement. I make robots that move with you, so that we can all move on. Thank you.